Just a few weeks ago, we had a story about the Michigan Department of Education got caught red-handed encouraging teachers to encourage children to transition to new genders behind their parents' back. Well, we have more smoking gun evidence that this is going on, this time out of the People's Republic of San Francisco. And again, we have smoking gun evidence that this is what they are doing. They're encouraging children as young as kindergarten to start picking new genders, and they can pick infinite different genders. And then they're telling these teachers that they have to play along with these delusions. And then they're telling these teachers to help these children conceal these transitions from their parents. And the documents are now available for everybody to see. The one that bothered me the most is a worksheet that they're giving to these teachers. It's called Elementary Name and Pronoun Sheet. And you can see it right there. It's marked as confidential, so it's only for the teacher's eyes, and it encouraged children as young as kindergarten up through fifth grade to list their official name, the name that they want to be called in class, and then the name that should be used with their grown-ups. Right? We don't have parents anymore. Now we just have grown-ups. And notice the dichotomy here. Right? You might be called Sally in class, but when your grown-ups are around, you might be Billy. And this is all by design, folks. It literally, the San Francisco Unified School District is encouraging these teachers to encourage children to pick out new genders, to pick out new pronouns, to pick out new names, to come to school dressed as whatever gender they feel like it, and then to help conceal this from the parents. So this document was produced by the San Francisco Unified School District Student and Family Services Division, and it's available in eight languages, including Chinese and also Arabic, which is interesting. I'm sure a lot of Arabs are going to be thrilled when they find out that their children are being encouraged to pick new genders and experiment with new forms of sexuality, like lesbo-curious is one of the sexualities they recommend to these little children. Now, in the letter that they wrote to teachers with this stuff, they say that the guidance is supposed to support educators in incorporating gender-inclusive practices in their equity stance that will supposedly somehow benefit students throughout SFUSD, the San Francisco Unified School District. Obviously, these two bureaucrats sign off with their pronouns. And here's another interesting bit. In these documents, the school district is actually encouraging students to get involved with Q groups. Yeah. And according to the documents, these Q groups are supposed to help connect students to mental health professionals and clinics that offer gender-affirming health services. These services, folks, include things like testosterone injections for little girls that will give them a deep voice, that will cause them to grow facial hair, that will cause their bones to get problems, that will cause their bodies to develop very differently. It includes puberty blockers to prevent children from going through puberty. I mean, this is like the same drug they use to chemically castrate people in prison. They give estrogen to little boys, and then afterwards they get them ready for surgical mutilation, right? Whip out the scalpel, we'll start chopping off body parts. Folks, this is happening in government schools at taxpayer expense, and we've got the smoking gun documents to prove it. Pretty amazing. Some of the things that these teachers are encouraged to teach these children are just insane. One of the pronouns that they tell the kids they can be called is it, and they point out that, it used to be a derogatory term for transgender to be called it. Now some of them are appropriating it, kind of like the N-word. I mean, it's just so bizarre, folks. And they do tell teachers that misgendering someone or misnaming someone, not using a student's preferred pronouns, is considered bullying and harassment. So any teachers who are not comfortable playing along with these delusions will be accused of bullying and harassment. And they're also supposed to intervene if another student won't play along with these delusions. So if some kid comes up and tells your son or your daughter that he's actually a fairy and he wants to be known by the pronoun tree, and your child says, no, you're actually just a regular boy and I'm just going to call you he, then that's bullying and harassment, and then you'll get a big problem. Now, the teachers are supposed to model this insane behavior for children. On the International Pronouns Day, they were given a sheet telling them to consider using things other than the typical binary honorary terms like Mr., Miss, or Mrs. They could use the gender-neutral term mix, or MX, right? And for teachers who aren't comfortable presenting this garbage to the kids, they've got great videos, they say, that you can use to introduce this stuff to kids. Also, the idea of binary man-woman relationship relationships, boy-girl relationships, those have to go, right? Can't use the terms boyfriend, girlfriend anymore. You have to use, and I'm quoting here, images that normalize a variety of relationship family formations, right? In other words, polyamory, 4 guys, 3 cats, and 2 goldfish will be a family. Also, no more using mother and father, folks. Now it's just caregiver 1 and caregiver 2, right? There's no difference between a mother and a father. They're all just caregivers. Okay, they've got a lesson on queering identity where they give you definitions for terms like sex assigned at birth. That's a silly label given to you based on your body parts. Your sexual orientation is who you want to get squishy with. They recommend resources from a well-known hate group, the Soviet Poverty Law Center. It's the Southern Poverty Law Center. Disgusting anti-Christian hate group that has inspired terrorists to go try to slaughter Christians. Truly amazing, folks, what's happening here. And they've got data showing that so many kids believe in this stuff because they've been collecting this data on the kids. They say that now about 13% of kids are something other than heterosexual. That was in 2017. That was 5 years ago. And, of course, a lot happens in 5 years. My guess is those numbers are far higher today. Folks, this is child abuse. It's grotesque. It's evil. It needs to stop. And in a sane society, the people doing this to these children would all be prosecuted. If America ever comes to its senses again, I think these people need to be held criminally accountable. This is literally insane.